Good morning, comic book fans. Welcome back to Comics in 5 Minutes. I'm Reverend Shorty. Today we're looking at Kids by Garth Ennis and Dalibor Talajic. I do apologise. I really should look how to pronounce things before I do it. Very, very sorry. There's a lot of reviews coming this week, so make sure you do the social media thing, otherwise you might accidentally miss this random Yorkshireman talking at you very quickly about comic books. But because we're starting with kids, it's fun because we can talk about horror, and I like talking about horror. But mostly what I like talking about horror is all the stuff it can do apart from just scare you. Don't get me wrong, if I'm talking about TV shows and movies, yes, those scares are really important, but when you're dealing with still imagery, I think what comic books can do with horror is more about telling bigger stories by using the medium of horror. And this is not just exclusive to comic books. If you don't think so, then ask yourself, was the original Night of the Living Dead actually about racism? Was the original Dawn of the Dead about consumerism? If you've no idea what I'm talking about, then cool, you still get to enjoy horror. I'm not telling you it's not for you. But this is more where I go to horror. I like the idea of, as with almost any bit of genre fiction, what it's about isn't really what it's about. It's just a medium for telling a story about something else. Terry Pratchett being very, very good at this kind of thing, and one of my favourite writers. In particular case, it's a bit of a harder one to do. The basic premise for the comic book kids, and this is not a big secret, no real spoilers here, is that for one day, all children in the age of 1 are suddenly fully grown humans, but maintain all the mental capacities of the child they were. And there's many reasons why this is terrifying. When thinking about why in particular Ennis and Talajic have used this particular thing to tell their story, though, it is interesting to look at what they could try to be doing with it. I mean, there's a character in this one who literally is very, very vocal about the fact that she doesn't necessarily like kids, or more than that, she dislikes how adults make the world about their kids. This idea of looking to the future, but all you're doing is just reproducing the same things over and over again, but the people who don't want to engage in that activity are dragged along with it against their will. And I like this as a character. I think there's some nice beats, some very nice writing for it, and it also is not missed that this person is seen as a villain, because she does not go along with this social acceptable idea of picket fences and 2.4 children. She's an older woman who spends most of her time day drinking in a lawn chair, and I think she's won at life. But in the world of the comic book, she's seen as somebody to be looked down on, even vilified, and I kind of like that instant flip of, no, we literally have this horrifying thing happen and she's still the bad guy. I kind of like that, but it feels like maybe it's a bit too simplistic. Another simplistic idea I had, one of the first ones I had when I was reading it, was, has Garth Ennis had kids recently? And you suddenly realised how terrifying that is. These are entire human life forms that have no idea how fragile they are, have no sense of self or self-preservation, and good lord, they don't care about anything or anyone. What they are is little balls of want that occasionally spew out fluids. But I don't think that's it. If I had to guess, I'd probably go a little bit deeper, and because of the insert we've got and some things Ennis has written recently about this idea that it is terrifying that there is people who actually change everything they do for the sake of children, specifically unborn children, which he's touched on recently, and how dangerous a moral path that can be. But even more so than that, I feel like I'm getting more of a terrifying idea of the man-child kind of thing we're getting here. This idea that these people in fully grown bodies still have no sense of self-worth, don't really think about self-preservation, they just feel this overwhelming need, and also spew things out of both holes. And this is kind of a dangerous situation. Even when people might be trying to help them, they don't see it as that's what they want, so they will complain, they will throw tantrums, they will destroy things, they will do everything they can to just get what they want, instead of looking at bigger pictures. Now, again, all this is just conjecture. One of the things I like about art is that you can interpret however you want. What we do get from this comic book is some pretty decent moments of gore and terror, because there's something almost comical about the nature of a fully grown human with a baby's amount of bodily control and reflexes, and it will lead to damage. As somebody points out in the comic book, they won't necessarily know how to throw a punch, we also don't know how to pull a punch, so there's an awful lot of almost comically drawn, bumbling foolishness resulting in massive fatalities. There's a few times where we don't get to see it. I think Talajic does some nice choices where he'll just let the action happen off screen, so you just kind of get the view of the response to it, which is really quite cool. And then when you get to the end of the book, and we do get to a resolution of sorts, there is also this really nice ending of leaving something open-ended. We don't have a full explanation about what's happened, but we have is some tantalising clues to what might happen next. But this is just a one-shot. It's what the Ninth Circle kind of stuff is doing. I do actually want to find out what happens next, though. I really hope there's some kind of payoff for this one. I mean, if not, I don't mind. I'd like ambiguous endings to things, but they still left me just wanting that a little bit more. That's it for today, though. Like I said, a whole bunch of reviews. Make sure you do the social media thing. Until I see you all again, though, look after you, everyone. Stay safe. Bye!